Hi, Joe here again. This is the first of 4 videos using Excel functions. If you want to get better at using Microsoft Excel, I think the best way, the fastest way to get better at using Excel is to get better at using the Excel functions. This first video on Microsoft Excel functions provides an overview of functions. It also covers a number of statistical functions as well. And after that, we'll have other videos on other kinds of functions. So this is the starting point video on using Excel functions. For this video lesson, I'll still be using the sample files that you can download. I'm also using a sheet at the bottom called Stat Functions, short form for statistical functions. We have a spreadsheet here that shows a list of employee numbers, their names, their age, their department, their location, and their salaries. And what I want to do is answer the questions that show up over in column I and put the answer in column J. For example, I want to find out how many people in this list by using a built-in function called the count function. Microsoft Excel has built into it about 280 functions, and they help you to extract information from your data set so you can do some analysis of the information. I'm going to go through the first one fairly slowly. I want to talk about some concepts. So the first thing is to put in a function is I'll click in the cell where I want the answer to appear. In this case, I want the answer to appear in cell J4. I want to use the count function to tell me how many people are in this, how many employees are in this list. There are several count functions in Microsoft Excel. The count function identifies or counts cells that have numerical values in it. So in our case, we're going to use the count function to count employee numbers. Now, if for some reason there wasn't this employee number column in here, and I wanted to count their last names, I couldn't use the count function because the count function is only designed to count cells with numbers in it. So in this case, I would have to use the count A function. I think of this as being the count all function, and what the count A function does, it counts any cell with anything in it. So we're starting with the count function. So you click on the cell where you want to put your answer. Then you start a formula by clicking on the equal sign, and then up just below the ribbon you're going to see a function button start, and the function button will show the last function used on your computer. Now on my computer, the last function I had used was one called SUMIFS. When you go back and do this in your own work area, it may say something different, like the word sum, for example. So don't get thrown off by this. It shows the last function used on your computer. Now in a moment or two, I'm going to see the last 10 functions used on my computer. It's possible that count is in the list, and if it is in the list, normally I would choose it, but I'm not going to choose it in this example, and you'll see why in just a second. So I'll click on the little drop-down arrow. It shows the last 10 functions used on my computer, and count does show up in the list, and normally I would click on count, but I want you to see the full listing of all the 280 or so functions that are in Microsoft Excel. So I'm going to go to the bottom choice and click on more functions. That takes me into an insert function window, and in this window there is a search box at the top. I could type in, for example, I want to be able to count employee numbers. And if I were to click on the Go button, it would probably find for me the count function looking for some keywords in this phrase. Instead, what we're going to be doing is we're not going to be using the search box for it. We're going to use the alphabetical listing of all the functions that are in Microsoft Excel. Now, this is a really long list. I want us to be efficient as we're working in here. So when we work in this window, we're going to first of all click on the lower part of the window on any function name. It doesn't matter which one you choose. All you're doing is making yourself active in this lower part of the window. Then I want to quickly jump down to the functions that start with the letter C. So on my keyboard, I'll touch the letter C. It takes me down to the start of the C functions, which is the function called the ceiling function. Now what I'm looking for is a function called count. So the next letter in the word count is the letter O. I'll touch that. But it doesn't do progressive typing. I can't go C, O, U. It doesn't work. But if I'm quick and I type in as quick as I can, C-O-U-N-T, it will find the count function for me. So the more I type, the closer I'll get to it. So you've got to be fairly quick to do it. If you can't do it quickly, just type the first letter of the function in and then scroll down the list looking for the function you want. So in my case, I'll type in count. I'll click on count. And lower down in the window, it shows me that it's going to count the number of cells in a range that contain numbers. It's a function that's designed to count cells with numbers in it. There's another function here called count A, which we'll use in our second example, and this one is used to count the number of cells in a range that are not empty, so it counts cells with numbers and text. And we can use that for counting the last names in this spreadsheet. So I'm going to click on count. I'll click on OK. It takes me into a function argument window. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the cells that I want to count. Now, what I could do is I could get a white cross, hold my mouse button down, and drag all the way down the spreadsheet. But if I had 400 or 500 rows in here, that may take me quite a while to do. But that's one technique that I could use. The technique that I'm going to use is I'm going to click in cell A4 first. Now, we talked about this in an earlier session about how you select large blocks of data. I click on the first cell, then on my keyboard, with my left hand, I'm going to hold Control and Shift down. And with my keyboard on the right hand, I'm going to touch the down arrow key. And what that does, it selects all the way down to the end of a continuous list. I'm about to count from A4 to A239. You can see in this window the answer is going to be 236. I'll click on OK, and that shows up in cell J4. The answer is 236. There's 236 people in this list. I'm going to try this again, but this time I'm going to pretend that there's no employee numbers in here. I'm going to use the count A function to count their last names instead. So I'm in cell J5. I'll start a formula with an equal sign. I'm going to go to the function button. Notice how the word count shows there. It was the last function that we had used. I'll click on the drop-down arrow. I'm going to move down to more functions. I'm going to click on the lower part of the window. I'm going to type quickly the word count. I'm going to scroll down one click to find count A and click it. It counts the number of cells in a range that are not empty. I'll click OK. I'll click in cell B4. I want to start selecting from that part of the spreadsheet. On my keyboard, I'm going to hold Control and Shift down at the same time. On my keyboard, I'll touch the right arrow key, and that'll choose all the way down to B239. I get the same answer as before. It's just a different technique that I want you to see. I'll click OK, and now I have 236 showing in that cell as well. Here's another one. I'm going to click in cell J6. I want to find the average salary in the spreadsheet. So I'll go equal to start a formula. I'll go arrow part of my function button and click. I'm looking for average. It's not here, so I go to more functions. I click on the lower part of the window. I'm going to type in the word average. I'll click OK. I'll move this one down here a little bit. I'll click on the first cell of column G. That's the first salary. Again, Control Shift on the keyboard, down arrow on the keyboard. I can see the average is going to be 37,766. I'll click OK, and that shows up in the spreadsheet for me. 37,767 is the average salary in this list. I'm going to go to cell J7. I want to find the largest salary. I want to find the biggest number in column G by using a built-in function called the max function, short form for maximum. So again, equal. Back to my function button. Max is here this time. I'll click on max. I'll click in cell G4. Control Shift on the keyboard. Touch down arrow. The answer is going to be 82,000. I click OK, and rather than me have to do the work myself looking for the big number, let the system do the work for you by using these built-in functions. I want to find the smallest salary using a built-in function called min, short form for minimum. So equal, back to the function button, more functions, lower part of the window. I'll type in min. It returns the smallest number in a set of values. I'll click OK. I'm going to select the cells by clicking G4, Control Shift down arrow, and click OK. The answer is 19,000. So those are three examples of average, max, and min. What I want to do now is I want to change functions and use the function called COUNTIF. I want to find out the number of people in the family department. What I want to do is count everything in this column if it meets my criteria of being the word family. So equal sign to start. I'm going to use a function called COUNTIF this time. Now it is in the list. There are two parts to this window. The first part is the range part, and lower down it says range is the range of cells where you want to count non-blank cells. I want to count everything in column E if it meets my criteria of being the word family. So I'm going to click in this cell, E4. I'm going to go Control Shift down arrow to choose all the way to the end of the list. I'll click on the criteria box and I'll type in the word family. Now it is not case sensitive, just make sure you spell it correctly. And when I click OK, it tells me back on my spreadsheet that I have 65 people that met the criteria of being in the family department. And rather than me go through and have to do it myself, it's much easier if I use these built-in functions called the COUNTIF function. I want to try this again, but a little bit differently this time. I'm going to move down to cell J20. What I want to do here is I want to count how many people work in this department. Right now it says the word youth. I'm going to use this cell for criteria, and you'll see the value of this in a moment. So I'm in cell J20, going to start a formula. I'm going to start COUNTIF. I want to select these cells in column E, so I'll click on E4, Control-Shift, down arrow. I'll click on criteria. I'm going to scroll back up the spreadsheet. Now this time, rather than type the word youth in, I'm going to use this cell here that holds the word youth. This, by the way, is cell I20. I'll click on I20, and it shows me over here the word youth, and it shows me that there's 89 people that met this criteria. I'll click OK, and that shows up as 89. Now, the beauty of this is, if I were to change this cell here to the word child, and touch enter perhaps, it then changes this over here to tell me there's 82 people in the child department. Because what it's doing is, it's counting things from E4 to E239 if it meets the criteria of what's in cell I20. That might be easier if you could actually see the window where I built the formula. So I'm going to just bring back the window by going to this little FX button and click. And what it's saying in here is it's going to count everything from E4 to E239 if it meets the criteria of what's in I20, which right now is the word child. I'll click OK. If I were to change this word to the word family, for example, and touch enter, I get 65, which is exactly the same as the answer I had back up here. I want to try something a little bit differently again. I'm going to go back up to a blank cell here. What I want to now do is I want to find out how many people are in the family department, but I'm concerned that maybe some people made some spelling mistakes, so I'm going to use a wildcard. I want to count everybody who works in the family department. I want to count everybody in column E that works in a department that starts with the first three characters FAM. So I'm going to use a wildcard here. So equal COUNTIF. I'm looking in this column here, column E again. I'm going to click in criteria and type in FAM. I'm going to put an asterisk in, which is a wildcard. So it is anything that starts with FAM, and click OK. I get 65 again because everybody that with FAM is in the family department. Some more examples of wildcarding. I'll go back to the FX button to bring the window back. I'm going to change this down here to be asterisk UTH, which means anything that ends with UTH. This is the word, could be the word youth, for example. And click OK, and I get 89 as the answer. So anything that ends with UTH, I wildcarded that. And again, I'm going to go back one more time to the window. I'm going to get rid of what's in the criteria. I'm going to type in asterisk OUT and asterisk. And this is again going to be the word use. So anything that has OUT in the middle of the for criteria. So something before, something afterwards. And click OK, and I get 89 again. So you can either use a cell for criteria or you can wildcard things as well. I'm going to go back up now to cell J10. One more time, I want to find out I want to use COUNTIF to find how many people work in the downtown location. I say one more time. I'm actually going to do two more examples of this. So equal sign again. Start COUNTIF. I want to look in column F this time, so click on F4, Control Shift down arrow. I'll click on criteria. I'll type the word downtown. Make sure I spell it correctly. And click OK. And there's 90 people that met the criteria of working downtown. So just again, it's just a nice way to bring information out of your data without you doing an awful lot of work yourself. I want to now find out how many people are over 30 years of age by counting things in this column over here if they meet the criteria of being greater than 30. So equal again, COUNTIF. I'm going to choose the cells in column D. I'm going to click on criteria. I'm going to put a greater than symbol in, and to do that, I'm holding the shift button down on my keyboard and touching a period. I'm going to type in 30 and OK, and I get 171 people are over 30 years of age in this list. I'm now going to go to cell J12. I want to find out how many people. I want to find out the total salary of anybody who works in the youth department. So a little bit different this time. We're going to look in this column here in column E and find this person, they work in the youth department, this person, they work in the youth department, and this person. But this time I'm not going to count them like I did when I used count if. This time what I want to do is find this person and take their salary, add it to this salary, add it to this salary, add it to this salary, and so on. This is called the sum if formula. We're going to sum things if it meets our criteria. So equal, going to change to sum if, it's in the list. The range, again, lower down it says, is the range of cells that you want evaluated. The range is the range of cells that you're going to look for a match to your criteria. In this first example, I'm going to look in column E for something. So I'm going to go to E4, Control Shift down arrow. Going to go to criteria. Going to type the word youth, because what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to find out the total salary for anybody in the youth department. I'm going to click on the sum range. So I'll look from E4 to E239 for the word youth. If I find the word youth, I want to add the numbers up over in column G. So my sum range will be G4, Control Shift down arrow to G239. And you can see the answer here is going to be 3,594,000. I'll click OK. And try to do that yourself without using the sum if formula. It just takes an awful long time to do things unless you get really good at using these functions. I'm going to try this 2 more times using sum if. I want to find the total salary for anybody in this list that's less than 30 years of age. So equal sum if. I'm going to choose D4 to D239. The criteria this time is going to be less than 30. So this time I'm going to hold on my keyboard the shift button down to touch the comma. Type of 30. And I'll go to sum range. Just want you to notice when you put the criteria in, by the way, it does put the quotation marks around the criteria. That's built in. Excel does that for us. So I'm going to go to cell G4. So I'm going to look in D4 to D239. If I find anybody less than 30 years of age, I want to add the corresponding numbers up in the salary column. So I click on G4, then Control Shift down arrow, and OK. And the answer is 2,289,000. And one more example of sum if. I'm in cell J14, equal sum if. I want to find the total salary for people that work in the downtown location. So I'm looking in column F for something. So I'll go to F4 and select all the way down. I'll click in criteria and type in downtown. Again, I'm trying to add things up for anybody who works in the downtown location. If I find a person, I want to add the salaries up. So go to sum range, click on G4, and select all the way down. And again, the answer is a big number, 2,702,000. It's just really hard to do this kind of work without using these built-in functions. It's a really, really powerful tool in Microsoft Excel. And I'm going to move down and do one a bit more complicated. The next one I want to do is find out how many people work in the youth department at the downtown location. So this person does, this person doesn't. This person doesn't, this person doesn't, this person doesn't, but this person back up here does. So what I want to do this time is I want to set 2 sets of criteria. I want to look for anybody who works in the youth department and also works in the downtown location. We did earlier in this lesson, we did several examples of the count if function. You use count if when there's just one set of criteria. You use count ifs, the plural, when there's several sets of criteria, at least more than one set of criteria. So I'm in the right cell. I'll start a formula. I'm going to go and choose count ifs, the plural. What I'm trying to find out here is the total number of people that work in the youth department at the downtown location. So the first thing is my criteria range 1. A criteria range is where you're looking for something. So in this case, I'll go to E4 and select all the way down. I'll click on criteria 1 and type in the word youth. I'm trying to find anybody who works in the youth department, but they also, that's not good enough, they also have to work in the downtown location as well. So I'll click on criteria range 2, and as I do that, the window starts to grow for me, putting on more cells. I'll click on cell F4 and select all the way down, Control Shift down arrow. I'll click on criteria 2 and type in downtown. And you'll notice that criteria range 3 shows up. So if I had more things to do, I'd click on criteria range 3 and so on. So it's going to show me how many people work in the downtown location, sorry, in the youth department in the downtown location. And when I click OK, there are 33 people that met that criteria. And one more to go. This last one is called the sum ifs function. What I want to do here is I want to find out how many people, I want to find the total salary if anybody works in the youth department at the downtown location. So this is sum ifs. You use sum if for one set of criteria. You use sum ifs for multiple sets of criteria. So equal sign for a formula. I'm going to go back up to the function button and choose sum ifs. The first box, it wants to know what cells should I add up if all your criteria is met. So in our case, we want to add up the salary column. So we're going to go to G4 and select all the way down. I'll go to criteria range 1. Again, what I'm trying to find out here is the total salary for anybody who works in the youth department and also works at the downtown location. I'm going to set my criteria range 1. Criteria range, again, is where you're looking for something. I'm going to choose everything in column E. My criteria will be the word youth, but that's not good enough. They also have to work in the downtown location. So click in criteria range 2. Scroll back up again. I'll click in F4 and select all the way down. I'll click in criteria 2 and type in downtown. So we're going to add up everything in column G if in column E the word youth is found and in column F the word downtown is found. If I need more criteria, I just touch tab on my keyboard. It'll put criteria range 3 on, tab again, criteria 3, and so on. I'll click OK. And the total salary for anybody who works in the youth department of the downtown location is $1,114,000. So these are some examples of statistical functions: count, count A, average, max, minimum, count if, sum if, count ifs, and sum ifs. A powerful, powerful tool in Microsoft Excel.